Welcome back. Yesterday evening saw members of the Irish Airline Pilots Association vote overwhelmingly in favour of industrial action in a dispute over pay.
So joining us now to discuss the result of the ballot and what it might mean for holidaymakers is Vice President of the Irish Travel Agents Association and CEO of Click&Go, Paul Hackett. Good morning.
Morning, Paul.
To you, Paul. Thank you so much for joining us. So this is Irish Airline Pilots Association, basically Aer Lingus pilots. How much are they looking for?
According to media reports, they're looking for 24% salary increase.
24, a quarter?
Quarter.
Wow, pretty much.
But they've gone to the Labour Court about this already, and the Labour Court have recommended something significantly lower.
I think that is the critical difference here. Like, yesterday was a ballot for industrial action. No industrial action has been called as yet. So we don't know what form, if any, or when that is likely to happen. But you're quite correct. The Labour Court recommendation on this was 9.25%. So there's quite some gap between 24% and 9.25%. And it's not as if the airline came up with the 9.25%. It is a framework of the state in terms of industrial relations negotiations. So there's a significant anomaly here.
So I can't imagine they're going to get much public sympathy over this. If the Labour Court are saying they should go for 9%, they've been offered 12%, but they've said that no, they want 24%. So they could stall holidaymakers this summer.
In fairness to the Labour Court, the recommendation was an interim 9.25% and then go back to the Workplace Relations Commission for further negotiations. So, there's still channels for this to be resolved. There is still ongoing negotiations. So it's really important that IALPA came out last night and said they want to avoid industrial action, because none of us want consumers impacted this summer. People going on holidays, corporate Ireland in terms of travelling out for people who have businesses abroad, or the foreign direct investment companies who have businesses here, or the visiting friends and relatives, not forgetting tourists coming into Ireland. So the implications for travel disruption for the travelling public is significant if this proceeds.
Which it makes obvious why they do it at this time when there's so many people who are going to be travelling. But we see this in France all the time, for example. The traffic controllers, they're going on strike. We have been relatively lucky in Ireland for quite a long time in relation to strikes, but it's already affected Aer Lingus, hasn't it? Like this potential for industrial action.
Any sort of commentary around potential disputes will be affecting the airline at this stage already in terms of future bookings. And, it just causes uncertainty amongst consumers. So, from a consumer point of view, they want certainty. They want to know the holiday that they have booked is fine. Businesses want to know the corporate travel that they're doing is fine. The inbound hotels in this country and the destinations want to know those travellers coming into Ireland are going to arrive.
So are they going to be, because I have a flight booked with Aer Lingus this summer, is that flight going to be okay?
Well, I can pretty much say, from our point of view in the Irish Travel Agents Association, we're well used to dealing with crises like this, be it industrial action, be it terrorism, floods, fire, you name it, pandemic. I think Aer Lingus are going to have full contingency planning in place. They can't do anything until industrial action is announced, but they will be working on alternatives with their partner airlines.
How do they do that?
Well, they have partner airlines that they can use. They have wet lease where they can bring in aircraft. Albeit in the summertime, these solutions are going to be more
aircraft and pilots. Okay, so
but is there an issue? I was thinking that there could be an issue with that, because those wet lease, that we're hearing this term now, and we all act like we know what we're talking about. But it's sort of that they're already allocated because other countries have taken them.
Well, summertime is going to be more challenging. Like, this dispute, from a timing point of view, is far from ideal because aircraft are very busy. Airports are busy, airlines are busy, and flights are pretty well sold. So the options for alternatives are somewhat limited. But, we have to focus on disputes get resolved.
I just want to say that the President, Captain Mark Tighe, he has said that the ballot showed that Aer Lingus pilots are determined to secure a fair and reasonable pay rise after years of inflation, after taking hits during COVID. Listen, if you work...
24% though.
If you work within... Yeah, but if you're talking about a country where, people are finding it very difficult, and it is an expensive country to live in, 0896 111, it could be affecting you. You might be a pilot yourself. We would love to hear from you this morning in relation to this and what's going on.
You might also fly for Ryanair. Michael O'Leary is speaking about them at the minute. It's front of the Irish Examiner that €1,000 it's going to hit to fly into Dublin. Tell us a bit more about this story, Christmas.
I think that's going to be a case of he's relating the cap to capacity and demand and forcing prices up. I don't think we're going to see €1,000 fares from Ryanair over the Christmas.
This is the cap of the amount of passengers that can go through airports in Ireland.
Well, it's actually a vehicle access cap. It's not even a passenger cap. So I think really what Mr. O'Leary was saying yesterday to the Transport Committee was very much, folks, you've got to get your act together here. Ireland Inc. is being laughed at a European level. You know, we need the cap lifted. All of the airlines are calling for this. The airport is calling for this. The Irish Travel Agents Association are calling for this. And we are very respectful of the environmental issues that are there. There's no question about that. But this is a passenger cap with regard to vehicle access. It doesn't even take into account the number of passengers that transit the airport. So, you know, from a demand supply point of view, from an economic development point of view, this is critical. We can't have our politicians just sitting there and saying this is to do with planning and we can't resolve it. We need the government to resolve these issues in terms of the economic Ireland piece.
Yeah, there is another side to it. Again, with climate change, Eamon Ryan would have a very, very different stance on this. But we'd love to hear from you. 0896 111 111.
Yeah, and how it might affect your summer plans. Paul Hackett, CEO of Click&Go and Vice President of the Irish Travel Agents Association. Thank you for that update. Yeah, love to hear from you on that. Now, Karen, what's coming up next?
Well, Tommy, we're finding out how your